And, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him to come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin. So tell him to come and touch it.
Wow.
GervontaDavis's corner was in complete chaos on the night of his fight against Lamont Roach. His trainer, Calvin Ford, has now addressed the situation, revealing what led to the turmoil. According to Ford, Davis was asking him to make a highly questionable move. The scene was reminiscent of Tyson Fury's corner during his first undisputed World Heavyweight Championship match against Alexander Usyk.
Tank cannot fuck with Terence Crawford at all. Y'all keep pushing for that. He will destroy Tank, bro.
During the match, Tyson Fury remained calm with his trainers, but his father, John Fury, created chaos in his corner by repeatedly raising his voice over Andy Lee and Sugar Hill Stewart. As a result, Tyson misinterpreted their instructions, which ultimately contributed to his loss. However, GervontaDavis's situation was slightly different, as this time the chaos stemmed from the fighter himself. The match was unfolding in an unimaginable way, with Davis seemingly on track to hear the final bell after the 12th round for only the third time in his career.
Now, they trash. Yeah, they trash. I think back in the day, fighters was better than the fighters today.
This was unusual, considering the Baltimore native is accustomed to ending fights in the 7th, 8th, or 9th rounds. However, this time, Lamont Roach was fighting back, and Davis was far from dominating. This raised concerns in his corner, and while his team tried to guide him, he instead argued and raised his voice, yelling, "Listen to me," at Calvin Ford. His team eventually followed his lead, but the outcome was far from ideal, and it could become even worse if his draw against Roach is overturned. Initially, his coaches chose to remain silent when asked about Davis's reactions in the corner, assuring that everything would be resolved.
All the fans want to see you and Tank in a ring this year. Do you think Turki Alalshikh's the man to make that?
Yeah, I think that that's going to be a tremendous fight. I think he's saving boxing, so once Tank gets with him, and I think the fight's going to...
It was expected to be just another routine night at the office for GervontaDavis and his team. From the moment his showdown against Lamont Roach was announced, Team Davis showed no signs of concern or unease. Roach was a familiar opponent with a respectable record, and while he held a title, he was still considered the smaller man. Considered a sizable underdog, Lamont Roach fought like a man with something to prove. From the start, he boxed beautifully from the outside, and when Davis forced him to abandon the jab and fight on the inside, he adapted without hesitation.
I've been hearing some rumblings about Terence Crawford versus Tank Davis. And when I think about this fight, I am getting Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia vibes.
To many, Tank's comments came off as bitter, but he stood his ground. He made it clear that he wasn't going to bow to anyone or chase money like some of the others. His frustration and anger were obvious. He felt disrespected by being left out. It didn't take long for Terence Crawford to jump into the drama. Never one to hold back, Crawford saw the perfect opportunity to poke fun at Tank on Twitter. He posted, "I see somebody mad they wasn't invited to the Ring Magazine gala," along with laughing emojis. The tweet went viral almost instantly, with fans from both sides chiming in. Crawford's emojis made it clear he was enjoying the moment, and his post only added more fuel to an already raging fire. Fans couldn't wait to see how Tank would respond, and of course, he didn't disappoint. It wasn't long before he fired back with a heated reply. "You nothing but a puppet," he wrote, calling out Crawford directly. "Y'all chasing after money. You're one of the reasons I want to leave this behind. Boxing has become boring. It's all about money now."
What changed? What made this shit trash, garbage?
If you got the opportunity to sign a prospect for GTD.
Tank's response wasn't just aimed at Crawford. It was a reflection of his frustration with the state of boxing itself. He seemed fed up with the direction the sport was heading, and his words hinted at deeper issues he's been feeling for a while. For Tank, the sport he loves appears to be losing its soul, replaced by money and politics. The back and forth between Tank and Crawford didn't just come out of nowhere. Tension has been brewing between them for years. While they've never fought, their rivalry has always felt personal. Tank has always been confident in his skills, even once boldly claiming that if
somebody like Tank say 147, I knock Bud out.
Well, he just talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he got the confidence in himself that he believed that he can do that because he's been knocking all these fighters out that he's been in the ring.
Crawford, on the other hand, has remained at the top of the sport, building a legacy as one of the best. The clash of egos between these two fighters is something boxing fans can't get enough of. They represent two different sides of the sport. Crawford is seen as the ultimate professional, chasing greatness and taking on all challengers, while Davis brings the swagger and fire that fans love, never afraid to speak his mind, no matter who it offends. This latest spat has only added more fuel to their already heated rivalry. Fans can't stop talking about the possibility of these two finally settling things in the ring. Even though they fight in different weight classes, the idea of a Tank versus Crawford showdown seems unlikely, but in boxing, anything is possible, especially when bad blood is involved. For now, this war of words is far from over. Both fighters are standing their ground and neither seems ready to back down. Fans are left wondering what will happen next. More insults, a confrontation, or maybe one day an actual fight. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. The tension between Tank and Crawford is only growing, and the world is watching.
How far away are we from getting Bud Crawford and Tank Davis? And would weight be an issue there, or would that just be a matter of you waiting for him to be ready for you?
Yeah, no, Tank is at a lower weight class than me. He's at 135, I'm at 147. That's 2 weight classes apart.
So he would have to come up.
Yeah, because I wouldn't never.
You can't get that low.
So that's not gonna happen. Because I saw people talking about it. You don't think?
However, not everyone thinks Tank is in the wrong. In fact, some boxing greats are praising him for refusing to entertain the influence of Saudi Arabia in the sport. Tim Bradley, known for speaking his mind, has been one of Tank's biggest critics over the years. He's taken shots at Davis's fighting style, questioned his commitment to boxing, and even criticized his resume. Bradley has never held back when it comes to Tank. But recently, something seems to have changed. Now, Bradley appears to be mending fences with Davis, even publicly praising him for standing his ground against what many see as the growing influence of Saudi money. And
ask your thoughts on Tank saying he'd knock out Terence in 6 rounds. You think he was playing, trolling, what? Selling tickets to his new fight?
Was that like his tweets? Like he's
he said it on video. Huh? He said audio. He said it. He's like, if I tap that.
Bradley's latest comments came in response to Tank's recent outburst about Turki Alalshikh and the boxers heading to Riyadh for big paydays. In fact, Bradley seemed to admire Tank for having the courage to say what many others were avoiding. He couldn't help but offer his praise, but with a catch. "That's why I respect Tank," Bradley said. "Hey, Tank, you got a new fan, dog. You are a real one. As of late, you've been showing me you're a real one. I like that." Bradley's words seemed genuine as he gave Tank credit for not falling into what he saw as a trap, chasing big Saudi paydays at the cost of integrity. He went on to say that Tank was one of the few fighters unwilling to stoop down and beg for money. The former champion praised Davis for standing firm in his stance, refusing to compromise his principles for a hefty check in Riyadh. Bradley didn't mince words. He made it clear he admired Tank's decision to speak up. "I like what you're doing, man," Bradley continued. "You're saying, I don't need Shakur because you don't want to go over there."
The thing I can say about Tank is he's smart. He can box. Yes. And he's explosive. You know what I mean? But I'm saying skill-wise and in the mind, I don't think neither one of.
However, Bradley made it clear that his respect for Tank was conditional. If Davis were to suddenly change his stance and take a deal in Saudi Arabia after all his criticisms, Bradley said he would have a problem with it. Now, if you go over there and take back everything you said and kiss the ring too, Bradley warned. You know Shakur is over there, and that's why I respect you. You're saying, I don't need Shakur because you don't want to go over there. But if Tank were to go back on his word, Bradley didn't hold back on what would happen next. If you go back on your word, then you're going to lose. A big fan, dog. And I'm going to come at you, he added. I'm going to come at you for real. Bradley's comments mark a shift in his perception of Tank Davis. For a long time, he was one of Tank's harshest critics, frequently calling
stop closing up, and let it go. Keep turning, step around.
But now, seeing Davis take a stand against what he sees as the corrupting influence of money in boxing, Bradley seems to be softening his stance. He's acknowledging that Tank has a certain level of integrity, at least when it comes to refusing to follow the money to Saudi Arabia. It's also clear that Bradley respects Tank's willingness to speak his mind, even when his views aren't the most popular. With top fighters like Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, and Devin Haney all reportedly making deals with Turki Alalshikh for massive paydays in Saudi Arabia, Tank's refusal to take that path stands out. In Bradley's eyes, that makes Tank a real one. Someone who is sticking to his principles and...
What are your thoughts on GervontaDavis saying that he's going to walk away from boxing after 2025?
Look, I don't blame him. I'll tell you that much. I don't blame him, man. But this sport ain't no joke.
If the fight not there...
At the same time, Bradley doesn't hold back when it comes to calling out other fighters who have accepted these big offers. He has been critical of Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, and others who, in his view, have compromised their integrity for the sake of money. By contrast, Tank's refusal to go down that path makes him stand out, especially in Bradley's eyes. But Bradley's respect isn't unconditional. If Tank were to take a deal with Alalshikh or anyone else in Saudi Arabia, Bradley wouldn't hesitate to call him out. Bradley's change of heart seems genuine, but it also highlights an interesting shift in the boxing world. Tank Davis is becoming more than just a controversial figure. He's starting to earn respect from those who once criticized him. His refusal to be part of the Saudi money machine has even won him some unexpected allies, with Bradley being the latest to publicly show his admiration. However, this stance comes with added tension. The rivalry between Terence Crawford and Tank Davis is heating up again, and it's a matchup that fans are increasingly curious about. Both men are dominant in their weight classes, and while they fight in different divisions, their paths seem to be on a collision course. Crawford, now the WBA super welterweight champion after his victory over Israil Madrimov, has cemented himself as a four-weight world champion. He's built his legacy across multiple divisions, lightweight, super lightweight, and welterweight, with his crowning achievement being his dominant stoppage win over Errol Spence Jr. at 147 lbs.
Catch weight of 137 pounds. So what are we talking about here? Gervonta Tank Davis, which would be the A side in this situation, would never move up to 147 pounds and fight Terence Bud Crawford, the legend.
Meanwhile, Tank Davis continues to dominate the lightweight division. His most recent victory over Frank Martin last June further cemented his status as one of the most dangerous men in boxing. His explosive power has been on full display in knockout wins over Ryan Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, and Rolando Raleigh Romero. With one of the hardest punches in the game, Tank has built a fearsome reputation, and his undefeated record, 30 wins with 28 knockouts, speaks for itself. For years, fans have speculated about what a potential showdown between Tank and Crawford would look like. Both fighters have publicly expressed interest in facing off, and with tension...
Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that's moving up 2 weight classes and, daring to...
Tank has even stated that he'd be willing to move up in weight to take on Crawford, a sentiment that has only added to the growing anticipation around the fight. But Crawford is no stranger to bold statements, and his latest comments only fueled the fire. When asked about the possibility of facing Tank, Crawford had a simple but sharp response. There's levels. With just those two words, Crawford made it clear that while he respects Tank's confidence, he sees a significant gap in their skill sets. Crawford has dominated multiple weight classes and faced some of the best fighters in the sport, including Errol Spence Jr. His technique, versatility.
There's definitely levels, you know, and if he come up to 147 and he's thinking he's just gonna knock Terence Crawford out, got another thing coming.
So that's the fight you would make happen? If he wanted to come up to 147?
Yeah, I'll stay at 147 for him. That's a big money.
That's a big fight, yeah.
Crawford wasn't done there. He went on to clarify that while he respects Tank's confidence, the outcome of a fight between them would be far different than what Davis might expect. He's just talking, Crawford said, referring to Tank's bold predictions. He's got confidence in himself because he's been knocking all these fighters out. No knock to Tank, but if he thinks he's going to knock me out, he's got another thing coming. Those words speak volumes. Crawford isn't just confident, he's absolutely certain of himself. He believes the hype around Tank's knockout, power is overblown, and that he's more than prepared to handle whatever.
Don't sleep on the fact that if him and Tank fought at about